anybody that's in real estate, try to get everybody. Well, it's Friday morning, 9 o'clock, and this is RVN TV, and it's time for Prime Property. That's welcome to RVN TV. And I'm Joe Osamendi, your host, but that's not important. The important person is right here I have next to me, Jenny Albaz, who's from Long & Foster.
Correct.
Jenny, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my pleasure. So, you know, you've been a superstar in realty. There's no question about that. And how did you ever get in realty business?
Okay, so back in the day, when I was 21, I purchased my first property.
Okay.
And it was in Cherry Hill, in a high-rise.
Okay.
And the place was called Playa del Sol. And that was on Cooper Landing Road. I was only 21 years old. I saved enough money for down payment, and I thought I was living large.
Okay.
So I purchased the property, and shortly after I got married, and we had a family. We started having children. And I thought, you know what, it's too small for me. It's time for me to put it on the market.
Okay.
So I did. And for the next 3 years, with different realtors, I was trying to sell it, and without any success.
Okay.
So I decided to rent it. I rented it out. I purchased another property. I decided to put it back on the market. Another year goes by without any success. So back in the day, we had newspapers where you would put advertising.
Right, yeah.
So I thought, you know what, let me just try this. Let me put it in classifieds for sale by owner. And one person called me.
Okay.
And I stalked that person until she purchased my property.
Really?
And it's the true story. And after that, I thought, if I can sell that property, I can sell anything. So I decided to go into real estate school, and the rest is history. So at the time, I had 2 kids, and a husband and 2 kids, still married for 32 years.
Okay.
At that time, I was a cosmetologist.
Okay.
And I was doing, hair and makeup. And I thought, you know what, if I could just go to real estate school and get a license, and maybe do 2 transactions a year so we can go on vacations and be more comfortable that way. That's all I would really want. I have a lot of people in my sphere. I know people. Somebody will give me something, something out there, a buyer, a seller, something. Well, in the first year, I made $45,000. It was a lot more than 1 transaction.
Right, wow.
And it was a lot more than 2 transactions. And there was no such thing as part-time. I thought I could do this part-time, doing hair. Well, before I knew, I had 2 full-time jobs.
Wow.
And I kept 2 full-time jobs for about 15 years.
Really?
And most people that I did real estate with had no idea I was still doing this hair salon business and doing hair. And I started working around my, or I should say my wonderful clients. They didn't want to let me go, so they worked around my schedule. And there was times where I would come in at 6 in the morning to do their hair, so I could be done by 11 or 12 and have my whole entire day for real estate. And I was blessed that I was able to do that. I had a very big book in Medford. I was there for many years. I started in '92 doing hair. I stayed in the same salon for about 15, 16 years. Okay. And the people that came to me, they would have had done anything for me to maintain a relationship and for me to still do their hair.
Right.
And till this day, even though I don't do hair any longer, somehow, some way, they still remember me. And there is times where I get phone calls from past clients, friends, to do real estate. Hey, Liz so-and-so told me you do real estate. I'm like, Liz, oh yeah, I used to do her hair 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So they still give out my phone number. And through the years, of course, I showed that I'm one of the top producers. I'm a hustler. There's nothing I cannot do. And for me to be able to sustain 2 full-time jobs and become a superstar in both, really, made them feel comfortable that I can handle their transactions and I can handle their biggest investments out there. I'm not just a fly-by realtor. I am not just a part-timer to get the license and throw it against the wall, which many realtors have, and that's one of my problems, because it gives the full-time realtors sometimes a bad name,
Okay.
because ball gets dropped with those people that think they're realtors and they just got their licenses. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't call their clients back. They don't follow the protocol, the proper protocol with business, and the listings expire, and then you go, follow through with these people a little bit later, because they call you now to help out, and you ask them, why do you think you didn't sell your house? And that client will say something like, the only time I heard from my realtor was the day that she pitched me to sign with her or him. And the other time I heard from her would be about 2 months later to do price reduction. And then I would hear again from them about 2 months after that too for another price reduction, and a week before we were expiring to get an extension. And I hear that over and over and over again. So at times, I'm jumping a little bit, but at times, sellers go with unfortunate, or they have an unfortunate experience, and they think that everybody runs the show that way, and it's not true.
Okay.
And a lot of the newcomers will say anything to get that listing.
Okay.
And they don't follow through. And it takes a lot more than just putting a sign on the front lawn to sell a home. Where I don't think anybody really understands what's involved with our business.
Well, take me through the process.
Well, the process is almost, you have to live it. You almost have to follow me around to see what it's really about. But, for an example, right now, I've been doing this for 20-something years now, and everything has changed so much. Everything is documented now. Everything has to be through the emails. Everything has to be in writing. Everything has to be talked about. There's an attorney review period. Then we have home inspectors. The home inspections have to, they have gotten so tough through the years that we, and a lot of times they're the deal breakers. People's expectations are unrealistic, sellers or buyers in a transaction. So, for example, if you're not an experienced realtor, your transaction can fall apart, and it's not a benefit to your either client.
Okay.
So what I do, I can only share what it is that works for me and what I do. So when I do take the listing, I do sit down with my sellers, and whether they like to hear the truth or not, I always provide it. I feel like truth is your, best policy anyway.
Sure.
And we go over the list that I prepare for them. And we talk about what can happen in a transaction. And I don't know if other realtors take that time out to explain to their seller that, Mr. Seller, you've been in your house for 35 years. I know you love your house, and you're saying to me, oh, everything's working great. Perhaps, to your opinion, yes. But have you had a home inspection recently? No. Oh, heater's working. The air conditioning is on. I understand, but the house is 35 years old. Have you been in an attic lately? Do you know if the trusses have moved? Do we know of any other issues? Do you have any leaks? No, I don't have anything. Well, that's great, but this is what can happen. We go under transaction contract. There is a 3-day attorney review period. Once we find a buyer, which could take a month, 2 months, 3 months, once we find a buyer and secure the buyer, I make sure that buyer is pre-qualified.
Okay.
I make sure that I do call that mortgage company, and I make sure that they have some kind of conversation with me before we accept an offer. We are a team effort here. It's not your transaction, it's not just mine, it's ours. It's like a marriage. You're hiring me right now for the next 5 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and we are committed to each other. That's what this contract means to me, Mr. Seller, and it should mean the same to you. So, because of that and my expertise, I'm going to share with you what can happen in the transaction. Once we find the buyer, it takes 5, 6, 7 weeks. It depends on the market and where you live and all that stuff. we will go under, we will sign the contract. The buyer usually signs first. Buyer will provide us with the deposit check. That deposit check will be held in the escrow of some source, whether it's an attorney or a title company or my office, or maybe sometimes their office. Once the buyer signs, provides me with the deposit check, I bring that contract over to you. We can sign it face-to-face, or we are allowed to send it electronically now, Mr. Seller. I know you're a busy person. I know you travel a lot, and that would make it easier. I can put it in a DocuSign. I will send it over to you, and you can just click, click, click on the phone or on the computer and have it signed that way.
Okay.
If it's easier for you, I can also send you the PDF form, Mr. Seller. You can read it. Since you know what you're reading, it's much easier to read that way. You can print it out. But at the same time, I do both. I send you a PDF and I send you a DocuSign.
Okay.
Once you sign that form, Mr. Seller, afterwards, we have 3 business days. In the state of New Jersey, we have attorney review period.
Okay.
A few states only have it, and we're one of them.
Okay.
So basically what that is that you have the right to obtain an attorney. I always recommend an attorney. Why not? Oh, well, we're in the state of New Jersey. They say you don't really have to have an attorney. Why should I pay for an attorney? No, you don't have to. You're right. 50% of people have them, 50% don't. But I feel like this is the biggest purchase or you ever going to make or sell. Why wouldn't you have an extra protection? Yes, I will do my very, very best to protect you, Mr. Seller, but I'm not an attorney.
Right.
So therefore, I feel that you should, and luckily we have that ability in New Jersey for 3 days for you to review the contract with someone else besides myself, so you're comfortable with the transaction. I cannot interpret word by word. Even though I know what it means, I can approximately tell you what this means, but I cannot interpret words because I'm not an attorney. And since you haven't had a transaction in 35 years, Mr. Seller, I think it's in your best interest to understand it properly. Jenny, do you have any attorneys you would recommend? I can certainly pass along a list of attorneys. There's, you know, usually I have 5 or 6 attorneys.
Right.
I'm going to hand them over the list. They can choose whoever they feel comfortable with. They can interview them on the phone and make a connection with them.
Good. We have to take a break now.
Yep.
Okay. We'll be right back with Jenny, and stick around.
Okay.
Sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rastelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Well, welcome back to Prime Property.
Thank
I'm
you.
Joe Osmond, your host, and I have my guest here, Jenny Albaz from Long & Foster.
That's right.
Good. Jenny, welcome again to
Thank
Prime
you very
Property.
much. Thank you.
You know, we were talking about the process of going through
We
this.
were.
One of the questions I have for you is, how about first-time buyers? How do you handle that?
Yeah, sure. We have a plethora of new buyers right now.
Okay.
And that is amazing for our market. And the reason being is that our interest rates are low again, and people can finally afford houses. They don't have to live with their parents any longer.
Okay.
So the new millenniums are starting to purchase. And there are a ton of programs out there that buyers don't really even know about. And for example, in New Jersey, we have a grant. We have a $10,000 grant that no one speaks of.
Really?
Very rare. And if you're eligible, and if you have good credit score, it's all about your, FICO score is your profile. That's how I look at things. It tells us about you.
Okay.
And how you pay your bills. Yes, we all run into situations, but the higher the FICO score is, the lower your interest rate will be, and the more benefits you will get.
Okay.
And for example, New Jersey has a $10,000 grant right now for first-time home buyers. They want to help. They want these millennials to purchase rather than rent. They want them to have the American dream. For many years, millennials were not able to afford a house, and after colleges, they would all come back home. So now it's reversing a little bit, and we've seen a huge plus with the benefits that New Jersey is offering, and it's a $10,000 grant. Like I said, you have to be eligible. You have to meet. I guess the proper way to go about it is to ask the lender that they're going to be working with if they have that program. Not every lender does that program. And I am not exactly sure, because I'm not a lender, what is the cutoff on their income per year that they can have to get that $10,000. But I just recently closed the deal on a first-time home buyer, and my seller paid for the closing costs, and they had $10,000 from the grant state of New Jersey. So basically, she bought a house with no money.
Well, that's interesting.
No money. It was in Maple Shade, $170,000 house. I think it was $170. No money. And it's cheaper for her to buy than to rent. So that was a really good experience. And she went through the state program. She got the grant. And so how lucky is that? The only thing is, the caveat to that program is you have to stay in that property for 5 years.
Okay, you can't sell it. Okay.
Right,
Or
or you
rent
have
it?
to prepay, or rent it. Investors cannot purchase it with that program. But when you ask me about first-time home buyers, so usually what I like to do, I like to talk to them and see what the goals are.
Right.
What are they really looking for? When are they looking to move? What are their plans in the future? Are they going to stay there for a year? Are they going to stay there for 3 years? Is it because of their job they're purchasing? They want to be close to work, close to their parents, close to where? So we find out exactly what they're looking for. 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms, whatever it is.
Okay.
Then I always ask them, what would you, before I even pre-qualify them with a mortgage company, what is your comfortable monthly amount that you can afford to pay for a mortgage or a rent, or your income? So they usually, say, I don't want to go over $1,400 or $1,500 a month. Okay, so if they have a pretty good assumption what they can afford, that makes it easier. If they have no idea, then we've got to start really from scratch. I have to call the lender, or give them a couple names of the lenders to call and really get pre-qualified up front. And sometimes they're not qualified. Sometimes their student loans, they haven't paid for, and that affects them. They don't realize it, how bad it could be. Sometimes they're not always honest, and they had bankruptcies already, or issue with the credit where they have not paid their credit cards. And I've sat and asked people, how is your credit? They go, oh, pretty good. And then you run their credit, and it comes back horrible. And you wonder, what is pretty good to somebody?
That's a good question. What is an average FICO score that is going to be eligible for a home buyer?
Well, you could probably purchase a home with having a 620 FICO,
Okay.
But a little bit of a higher rate. It's an FHA loan. What I would consider a good FICO is 700
Okay.
or above.
Okay.
To me, I'm still old school. To me, FICO is everything.
Okay.
If I was an investor or if I was a lender, I would only want to have somebody that almost guarantees me that they're going to pay me back.
Sure, yeah,
Why am I
exactly.
going to take a risk?
Right.
But there's wonderful programs out there, and people do deserve second chances, and sometimes they had hardships, and I can't really say across the board, people do that on purpose. There are times with people having hardships, they just can't pay off their credit card, they got sick, or
Right.
something happened, they're divorced, a mother with 2 kids, the husband leaves, now she's stuck with the bills, or vice versa, woman leaves, the husband is with, I see all kinds of things in today's world, everybody's equal.
Right.
But first-time home buyers, I feel like they are so appreciative when you help them. Because not every realtor wants to work with a young or a first-time home buyer. Usually it's in a lower price range, and a lot of work involved. You really have to know your stuff, and it's a lot of babysitting. And a lot of realtors they're not, I don't want to say lazy, but they rather do more of a mature buyer. That's how I feel.
Want to cherry pick.
I feel like a lot of them do. I take anything. I've been in the business for 20 years. I started, as I was telling you my story earlier, I was 21 years old. Someone helped me purchase a $45,000 property. I know they made no money on me,
Right.
very little. So that always stayed in the back of my head. So for me, I'm all about don't forget where you come from. Don't forget the little guy, because that little guy can be very big one day.
Right.
And they will never forget you. It's all about how you make people feel.
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff in between, but people never forget how you made them feel and how you treat them. So to me, I treat everyone equally. So whether it's a $100,000 listing or a $5 million listing, everybody gets the same treatment. I advertise it the same. I advertise it in my magazines, on the internet, all the same way. I will do the same open houses for everybody at the same time. And I feel like that's what separates me all these years from anybody else. And I have always been consistently busy, even through the worst of the markets that crashed.
How's the market now?
Well, we're lucky. We're having a very good spree. It's all up and running. And last year we had a phenomenal year. This year I believe it's going to be even better. I think we're going to have another strong year.
Okay.
I think a lot of buying opportunity is there. We are a little bit dry on the market. There's not as many homes on the market. So it is a seller's market. But buyers don't care. They just want to get in, and they
Okay.
want to buy something. So we are seeing a lot of multiple offers going in, and bidding wars.
Really?
Absolutely, especially in the districts that are known for their schools. Whatever makes that known to one, I don't even really like to even touch that subject, because what is considered to be a good school system to you
Right.
might not be the same to me. So
Okay.
I always leave it up to the buyer to tell me what they're looking for in a school.
Okay.
If your son is more geared towards auto mechanics, there's a school that he might need, and it might not be in the townships that they heard about the schools are in.
Okay.
So that's why I always listen and ask my clients where do they want to be? For what? For your children? Okay, what does your children like to do?
Right.
Do they like to do swimming? So with that, we try to help them find a perfect scenario for them, or a perfect neighborhood.
Is there any time of the year that's better for selling and buying?
There used to be a rule of thumb, but I don't think anything applies anymore.
Really? Okay.
I think people move all through the year. Of course, spring market is always busier in New Jersey. But I think anymore people get married, they get divorced, people die, and throughout the year. So as long as the house is priced right, as long as the house shows nice, I think they will sell it, and they will sell it at very close to asking.
Really?
As long as it's not overpriced. So the comps do play, and you have to, really do your search before you list the property. And a lot of sellers feel that their home is worth more than the next door neighbors.
Right.
But why?
You have to be realistic.
Yeah, why do you think your house, I just sold that house for $350. Why do you want $400? I don't understand. Well, I put in golden, doorknobs throughout. Well, nobody cares about
Right.
your gold doorknobs. 14 karat gold, nobody cares.
Right.
So I think realistic is what they have to be.
Okay.
It's my job to explain to them what the market values should be. Overpriced listings only hurt them.
Okay.
And it will sit on the market. It's not my pocket. I'm not paying for it. You are. Every month, taxes,
Right.
insurance, HOA, or whatever it is. And you have a goal. You want to be out of here in 3 months. You want to go to Florida.
Right.
Well, at this price, you're not going to Florida, not this year. So those are the conversations we have. And sometimes they don't want to hear the truth.
Sure.
And I don't always do over, I don't always take over price listings because I don't want to do that to them.
How long should a house be on the market? I've heard that it's on too long. It looks like there's something wrong with it or whatever.
In today's market, I would say all the houses sell within 3-4 months.
Really?
If the price right.
Okay. So then the biggest thing that you have to really do is know your client, and also
Yes.
be realistic about how you're going to price this.
And how you're going to show the house and what it offers.
Right. Okay.
A lot of people today don't want to do any work in the house. They want to come into a home that has been updated. And with updated homes, you do get a lot more for your money too.
Okay.
So, for instance, everybody wants a new kitchen, everybody wants new bathrooms, everybody wants the floors. Carpets are out, and wallpaper is not really that popular anymore. So as long as the seller understands that maybe sometimes by putting in $5,000, $10,000, they might get 20 back.
Really? New roof, things like that?
Well, so roof is structural. I'm talking about cosmetics.
Okay.
So
Curb appeal.
the seller has to be also notified and talked about up front. What are their obligations when they sell the property? We were touching base on that earlier. I didn't finish the whole entire transaction. We went through the attorney review and what happens
Right.
after that. So we do have a period of time, 10 to 14 days inspection time for the buyer to conduct inspections.
Oh, okay.
And if there's anything wrong with the roof, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, if there's termites, if there's radon, then it falls back on the seller.
Okay.
To the point where seller has an option to either fix it, give credit, or say no. But at that time, buyer also has an option to walk away or negotiate. Okay, Mr. Seller, you'll take the roof, you'll take care of the roof, but you're not going to do the plumbing, the electrical. You're saying you'll do some of it. Seems reasonable for the price I'm paying, I'm good. There's buyers that are unrealistic. They want everything on that list. Well,
Right.
you're not buying a brand new house.
Right. Exactly.
So the seller says, I'm sorry. And the deal falls apart.
Well, we're at the point of, I can't believe this our interview's all over already, but what I'd like you to do right now, Jenny, is like look in that camera and tell people how they can reach you and who should call you.
Well, my name is Jenny Albaz. My phone number is 856-371-3996. 856-371-3996. My email address is jennytopagent@gmail.com. I'm available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I kid you not, I am the hardest working realtor you will ever meet. I also do real estate in Southwest Florida, and I do fly back and forth, specializing in Naples and Bonita Springs markets. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Please call me. I will take care of you and your family. Thank you.
Jenny, you are a top seller. If I want to sell a
Thank
house,
you.
you're the first one I'm going to call.
I
I'll tell
hope
you.
so.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
And thank you for being on
having me.
Prime Property. It was wonderful.
This was fun.
Yeah,
Thank
if you want to sell your house or buy a house, call
Please,
Jenny.
call me.
Jenny. She's
You
going to
won't
work for you.
regret it.
She's going to get it done. And thank you for joining me on Prime Property. We'll see you next week.
Have a wonderful day.